Good evening. I'm Merran Smith, and I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Coast Salish for sharing their traditional territory with us here tonight. 3 million. That's about how many electric cars are cruising the roads around the world tonight. Well, maybe not cruising tonight, but on the roads today. So I'm curious, anybody here own an electric vehicle or is thinking that their next car will be an electric vehicle? Put your hands up high if that's what you're thinking. So I encourage you to take a look around. We wouldn't have seen that kind of participation just 5 years ago. Now 300 million, that's how many electric cars are projected to be on the roads in about 25 years. And that forecast comes from BP's Energy Outlook. And they're not the most bullish. As Chris was saying, they don't wear the white jumpsuits. They're moderate. They're in about the middle as to what they see coming. Now, BP's also projecting that by 2040, we'll have about 2 billion cars on the road. And that's twice as many cars as what we have right now. And they're projecting that we'll still be using the same amount of oil and gas. So that means that we're going to see more electric vehicles, but also more fuel-efficient vehicles. We're going to see more biofuels. And that's why we're going to double the cars, but still be using the same amount, the same demand for oil. Now, if you're a producer of oil, such as us here in Canada, that's cause for concern. As the CEO of Shell put it, societal acceptance of the energy system as we have it is disappearing. And that's why Shell is transitioning. They're investing about $1 billion a year now in renewable energy. They're buying car charging companies, solar companies, energy efficiency companies. And it's not just Shell. Statoil, BP, Total, they're all investing and transitioning to this clean energy future. So this transition that we're talking about, it's not just a shift in supply and demand. What we're talking about is an overall transformation. So think back, think about the internet and what that did for communications. We really can't imagine life without it. Who here in the hour before they got here, who checked Twitter or Facebook? Actually, I'm not going to ask you to show hands. You all know who you are. But that's the level of change I'm talking about. It's exciting, it's bringing opportunities, and it's disruptive. So in the world of energy, the biggest disruptor we have, not surprisingly, is China. Now, air quality is driving China's mind-boggling uptake of wind, solar, electric vehicles. I mean, I can give you stats like 40% of global energy, clean energy investment last year, or roughly half of personal electric vehicles sold last year. You got it, China. But China's goals aren't just environmental. They're strategic and they're economic. China sees clean energy technologies as major industrial exports that can compete with American and Russian oil and gas. They want to position themselves as the clean energy superpower as the world shifts away from oil and gas. So China is all in on this clean energy future. Another disruptor that I want to talk about is electric vehicles. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the media about electric cars, but how many Canadians know about electric delivery trucks, or electric school buses, or electric ferries, or electric cargo ships? All of these exist or are in operation today. And so when we talk about oil displacement, usually the focus is on what's going to happen with cars, but electric cars are just the beginning. So big global brands, they are going to be one of the bigger new drivers of this energy transformation. 122 of the world's biggest and most successful companies are now choosing 100% renewable energy. So Google, the world's biggest corporate buyer of clean energy, reached 100% renewables for all their global operations last year. Last week, Visa joined the club of those committing to be 100% renewable. So brands like these, they have way more impact than any report that I can put out, than any tweet you can put out, any announcement that government can do. They have more impact on citizens because their commitment to 100% renewables tells Canadians this clean energy transition is real, that it's happening right now, that it's possible. And that's going to have a huge change for the citizenry in terms of where they go and their buy-in. So the last disruptor I want to talk about is smart energy. At Netflix and Wikipedia, they proved that you don't have to have a physical space to have a library. And that's also true for power plants. And Australia is soon going to be home to the world's biggest virtual power plant, which will digitally connect solar panels and Tesla batteries installed in more than 50,000 homes. So it's going to be able to store excess energy across those homes and businesses for when it's needed, even when the sun isn't shining. So the digitalization of energy is what I think of as the secret sauce that's going to make this energy transition different and faster than any previous transition. So why is that? Because it isn't just changed. It's not a swap out of hardware, but it's going to be fueled by the power of software. So the exciting part of all this transformation and disruption for me is that we aren't too late. And Canadians and Canadian companies have already started to be part of this energy transition. So let's just take a look at a few companies. Ballard and Hydrogenics, Canadian companies that make fuel cells that convert hydrogen into clean electricity. They're two of the top dogs in their emerging sector, and they're signing contract after contract in China and elsewhere. Or Lion Bus in Quebec, Green Power Bus here in BC. They're building electric school buses with customers in the US, China, and that electric ferry I mentioned, it may be in Norway, but guess who supplied its batteries and charging stations? Corvus Energy, right here in Richmond. So there's already 300,000 clean tech jobs in Canada now. And while it's no secret that our economy relies on export, more than 85% of Canada's clean tech companies already identify as export-focused. And that's without our country going all in and saying that we're going to get this sector off that ground. So if this surprises you, it may be because today's energy jobs don't look like yesterday's. They're diverse, they're all across Canada, and they include all kinds of skilled Canadians. People like Ashley, insulator, retrofitting homes in BC, or Gordon Planis, chief of the Suit First Nation, leading the way with solar installations in his community. Or Alvia, an engineer turning Edmonton's waste into fuel. And people like Pierre, a former oil and gas worker, now with a world-leading clean tech company in Montreal. We're at the beginning of an economy-wide transformation, one for the history books. And the question is, what will Canada's story be? So here's my pitch. Let's be deliberate. Let's be clear-eyed about the challenges and the opportunities. Let's embrace this transition and be part of the Leaders Club. That's the Canada I want to build. And that's the story that together we need to write for our kids to be proud and to be prosperous for decades to come. Thanks.